homeschooling family says their yard doesn't make the grade. They've got parking problems, bad drainage, and too many front doors. It's a lot of homework. Will they get an A for effort? That's next on Groundbreakers. Hello, welcome to Groundbreakers. I'm Joe Washington. Homeowners Greg, Mary Grace, and their 3 children love the 1960s brick home they bought about a year ago. But once they walk outside, it's a whole different story.
Well, we homeschool. I have a daughter, Mary Slade, who's 9, William, who is 8, and Wesley Reed, who's 4 1/2. It was very important to be in the neighborhood where we knew a lot of people and I felt comfortable being home all day.
I think for this vintage house, it's got a lot of nice open living space. The previous owner basically knocked out the garage and expanded the living area to a nice big open living area. So that was probably a huge attraction to us.
Yeah, but that knocking out the garage is kind of a double-edged sword there, right?
Right. I had sworn I would never move into a house or buy a house without a garage.
Having no garage was one thing, but there was a bigger problem lurking below the surface.
One of the things I think we overlooked was the slope of the property, the grade, and the fact that there were some drainage issues.
And actually the day we were moving in, I noticed, or the day the woman was moving out, I noticed there was a puddle. All this was all just soaking wet. And I thought, oh great, what are we going to do? Because this is where we play, and
right.
This is, So needless to say, we have a big basket by our front door for shoes because you can't come in our house without taking your shoes off.
In the backyard, the playable area spreads over to a small deck in the crowded driveway. That's another problem area the family wants fixed. Looks like you had a turnaround over here at one point.
We did, in fact. The previous homeowner, when she closed in the garage, she built a deck, and the garage did allow you to basically pull around and pull out facing the street as you pulled out of the driveway. Now you're not able to do that. That's important to us. There's a lot of children in the neighborhood, and if there's someone in the driveway, you don't want to miss them.
For Mary Grace, one of the biggest issues greets you the moment you set foot onto the property, even though you may not realize it right away. All right, now let's talk about the front door. This front door. Yeah, thanks.
Well, that's exactly the problem. People always think that is my front door and come to that front door, which is fine for friends. I want them to come to my side door, but when we're having a party or entertaining, which is what we would like to do, we'd like them to come to this door.
Greg and Mary Grace are turning their landscape over to Greg's best friend. I met with him recently to go over his plan that gives them what they want and much more. What's it like doing a project with an old friend?
It's a lot of fun, but it also presents other challenges.
I'm sure. I'm here with landscape architect Chris Rowden. And Chris, Greg and Mary Grace have a big yard with some pretty big problems. Part of the issue they have is with parking and garage space. How are you going to solve that?
Well, a big concern is the detached garage that we're going to add, and then trying to get access to it with the parking area, being able to have access to cars to come in, turn around, getting rid of the existing narrow driveway that kind of came into the site, just making it a lot more usable. We're also going to try to level up the yard by doing a series of retaining walls and some stairs so we can basically divide the yard in half, active functional area up here and more of a passive area with a patio, and then even a play area down here that's not quite so passive, but it's not going to get the use that this would get.
Right. What's going to happen with the existing deck?
We're going to take the existing deck out, and we really want this to be a focus because this is where you're going to look out of the house. So what we're going to do is go in with a stone patio, some nice stone seating walls, and an exterior fireplace that will really be wonderful to look out in the fall and see it.
Right. Now, well, let's move to the front yard here because you're going to do a few things up here.
Well, we really want to draw more attention to the main front door, even though they have 2 front doors. So we're going to do that with lighting as well as with plant material. And then we're going to come in here with a new 2 sidewalk system. So guests are going to tend to park on the cul-de-sac, come in. They're going to be led to the first sidewalk to the door. Also, we're going to provide a secondary sidewalk that will lead to the extra door, should they want to use that in a less formal situation.
This looks like an exciting project. Looking forward to seeing the outcome. Thanks. Stay with us when we come back. The crew finds bad news underneath the house. Why they'll have to fix someone else's mistake before moving forward with the plan. Welcome back to Groundbreakers. Greg and Mary Grace have some issues with their yard. Poor drainage, no parking, and one too many front doors. Work crews are about to start on a plan that will make their front and backyards more user-friendly for the whole family.
Well, with 3 small children, we are outside a lot, playing ball. And Mary Grace and I both enjoy working in the yard. At our previous home, she had a garden, and I enjoy keeping the grass, keeping the lawn. I just find it can be therapeutic.
And Mary Slate and I love to plant flowers and just love to be outside. So it's just something that we want to be able to use in a lot better way than we are able to use right now.
The crew kicks things off by removing sod in preparation for Greg's new 2-story garage to be built in the corner of the backyard. Soon, a concrete foundation is poured as Mary Grace and the kids look on. The new garage will help alleviate some of the parking problems caused by the single-lane driveway that ends at the deck. In week 2, that deck comes down to make way for a new stone patio. Workers also slice into the concrete slab that sits where a dressier paver patio is planned. But as demolition continues, the crew uncovers a dangerous surprise, according to foreman Doug Presley.
This sunroom was actually built on the foundation of an existing deck, and the construction process here was inadequate by today's standards. So what we're going to have to do is replace all these foundation posts with metal posts sitting on good solid concrete piers.
That means clearing out the crawl space underneath the sunroom and bracing the whole thing up temporarily. The existing wooden posts are supported by small pads of concrete, only a few inches thick. New footer holes are dug 24 inches deep. This process will be repeated for each post holding up the sunroom. Fixing this years-old problem will jack up the budget and push back the schedule on the project, but everyone agrees it's a necessary step.
Once I saw the condition of the support under the sunroom, I too agreed. Just visibly looking at it as a layman, I could tell that it didn't look like it was adequate, and so, Mary Grace and I have concluded that, oh yeah, absolutely, we need to do this. And they've even told me they're not even sure that the sunroom is entirely level, so we're going to have to address that as well. But I think we've got to do it because the deck that's going to be coming off the sunroom is going to be pretty substantial, and so we're going to need that support for it to probably pass an inspection.
A few days later, another concrete truck is on site, and the crew carefully guides the chute underneath the sunroom to pour the new footers. Concrete is also put in a series of trenches, footers for a new retaining wall that will separate the upper and lower yards, and a staircase to connect the two. We're now in the project's 4th week, and the curved wall is getting off the ground one cinder block at a time. The face of the wall will eventually be covered with natural stone, but for now, the blocks are carefully mortared into place and made perfectly level, as Mary Grace, Mary Slate, and Wesley Reed get an up-close look at the meticulous process.
You do that with every one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the new garage has been steadily coming along too. It's been completely framed, and today a roofing crew is capping it off as wall work continues. In week 5, a truckload of new soil arrives. Then a second, and a third, and then a fourth. A skid steer spreads it all out across the top terrace to create a level grade for the upper yard. Then the driveway, much of which had been hidden under the old deck, is broken into bits, and the chunks piled up for removal. Later, workers chip stones by hand and mortar them to the cinder block retaining wall. Cutting down the stones into squares and rectangles of varying sizes makes them easier to stack and gives the wall a formal look. On the stairway, brick pavers are put down for a solid walking surface. The same pavers are used to create the lower patio. A worker with a concrete saw freehands a long cut, and when he pulls away the scraps, reveals a gentle, curved edge to the patio. Of all the changes, the one Greg's been most eager to see is that new garage. And he wanted to make sure he got as much usable space as possible. So when he found out the county's maximum limit on such a structure was 900 square feet, he had Chris tweak the design to come in at exactly 899. Stay with us. When we come back, serious setbacks add another 6 months to the job. First, bad weather, and then some tall trouble in the front yard. Hello, welcome back to Groundbreakers. I'm Joe Washington. Greg and Mary Grace's landscape renovation was originally supposed to take about a month, start to finish. Having to bring the existing sunroom up to code slowed things down somewhat. But then, Mother Nature called a time out of her own.
Whenever you have large projects like this, things just happen. In this case, we had to go through 3 hurricanes and some really rainy weather. And whenever you have rain, it can really kill the project, because not only do you miss a day or 2 of rain, or 3 or 4 days when it's raining, but then it's got to dry out, because you can't get in there immediately and do work the next day or the day after that. But so the ground has to dry out, so you're not tracking mud everywhere, and it just doesn't destroy a project.
After a delay of almost a month, the crew resumes work in week 10, prepping for a new flagstone patio where the old deck used to be. Wooden form boards have been staked into place, and a wire mesh reinforcement is now cut and dropped in. Then concrete is poured, spread out, and smoothed over. A week later, workers started an outdoor fireplace. Specially shaped pieces of cinder block create the firebox opening in the chimney. Meanwhile, stonework has begun on the patio. Each flagstone is individually selected, cut by hand to fit perfectly, and mortared into position. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle that takes 2 days to complete. Just in time, too, as rain clouds move in again and the crew tarps off the new patio to protect their work. Once the weather clears, it's back to work with another delivery of rock. The workers sort through the piles, using the best field stones to clad the fireplace and adjacent seating walls. Another crew has started on a new deck, being built off the now up-to-code sunroom. Floorboards are cut to length and nailed to the joists below. Railings and a built-in shade arbor will be added later. Work shifts to the front yard in week 18. Crews use a sledgehammer and pry bar to tear down the front porch. Remember, the home originally had 2 front doors, and the goal was to make the main one more prominent. Now a larger porch has been built and is being covered in stacked fieldstone. As for the side door, the homeowners have decided to get rid of it altogether.
Right now, this may change because it changes from day to day. This is going to become a huge window, and I think this is just going to be a planter where I put some big plants. And on the inside, I'm very excited because I'm getting a little bench seat with bookcases and little lockers to store all my kids' junk.
Without that door, there's no longer a need for the walkway leading to it, so it's busted out with a jackhammer. It's quite a transformation, but is Mary Grace enjoying it?
Today's not a good day to ask because I'm completely overwhelmed. I've had to make 52 decisions. What kind of steps we're having, whether we're using railing or not, what are we doing with the garage, the back door openers, are we putting stone walls there, what are we doing on the walkways, are we using stone, which now I think we need to do, or are we using pavers, so it's just been way too many decisions for me. And Greg's, of course, out of town today, so.
Luckily for Mary Grace, the landscape architect is also her husband's best friend. And he says that despite all the delays and changes, that friendship will not only survive this project, but be better for it.
There have been plenty of times where Greg and Mary Grace and I have spoke, and it might be 10:30 at night, and he's like, can you come look at something? And so to walk around someone's backyard at 11 o'clock at night doing a landscape consultation, more or less, is kind of an odd thing to do. But it's when it's your friend, it doesn't matter, and it's a lot of fun, and you just have fun kicking things around and discussing options.
And one of those late-night meetings yielded another surprise that now has crews preparing to take down a gigantic maple tree in the front yard.
And looking at the walkways, and as we decided to change the front door or get rid of one of the front doors and change the sidewalk, one of the things we noticed, and some of the guys noticed that working on the project, is that tree looked like it was sick. So we've had an arborist come out and look at it, and the arborist confirmed that it's definitely diseased. And I don't know why I didn't notice it just from looking at it. I wish we would have noticed that earlier in the project, because that's delayed us a little bit as well, just getting somebody out here to get that tree down. We hated to lose the tree, but at the same time, I think it will emphasize some of the changes we've made in the landscape and in the front door, and it'll be kind of open up the front yard.
It also forces a total do-over of the planting plan, since that tree had provided a lot of shade. Now the site will be able to support a good-sized lawn, so crews bring in more soil and regrade the front yard. Chris, meanwhile, lays out a new walkway for Mary Grace.
It's just a little less, I didn't want it bulging out quite so much there and then bulging out here so much, you know.
In week 25, the driveway is being broken up with a skid steer and flagstones going down on the walkway. A wooden gate is built between two stone columns to close off the driveway at the corner of the house. As planting begins in the front yard, crews also smooth out a new concrete driveway. But instead of plain concrete, this driveway will have a raised texture to it, thanks to pebbled aggregate in the concrete itself. Pressure washing the surface before the concrete is hardened exposes the aggregate, and a sealer rolled on later ensures that it won't loosen over time. Fresh sod is put down in week 28, a full 6 months after the job was originally supposed to be finished. Greg said before work started that he enjoys taking care of a lawn. Good thing, because now he's got more than 5,000 square feet of it in the front and backyards. Well, it's down to the finishing touches, and this landscape will be ready for its big unveiling. When we come back, we'll take a guided tour from the man who designed it, and Greg and Mary Grace will tell us why the kid-friendly improvements to the yard have happened just in the nick of time. Hello and welcome back to Groundbreakers. Homeowners Greg and Mary Grace started this project with soggy sod, a parking problem, and a front door dilemma. What they ended up with is a new front and backyard that should serve this family well for years to come. Now, landscape architect Chris Rowden is the man with the plan. Great to see you, Chris.
You too, Jeff.
Talk more about the issues that they faced in the very beginning.
Well, they had a great lot on a cul-de-sac, but because of the slope in the back, didn't allow them to do what they wanted to do long-term with the property.
Yeah, those front door issues were a problem, too.
Yeah, you never really knew where to go with the front door, but taking care of that and adjusting the sidewalk and doing the driveway, all those things fell in place.
Okay, let's talk first about the backyard. Looks terrific.
Well, it's a great backyard, very large, but because it had some slopes to begin with, we wanted to take care of that, create a usable lawn area. We had to handle the parking issues for the new garage. And we also wanted to create some adult entertaining areas, so a patio and deck, and then also have a passive area down below the retaining wall.
Yeah. Move us up to the front yard. Big changes there, too.
Front yard, redoing the new stoop, getting rid of a front door, just determining the presentation people were going to see when they came to the house was very important. And then also splitting up the sidewalk so that one sidewalk came closer to the back, the other was more in proximity to the cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Too bad you had to lose that big tree.
It was a beautiful tree, but the Japanese maple we put in its place is really going to fill out nicely over time.
Yeah, it looks good. Now, talk about the plants you used.
Well, a lot of the plant material was for screening purposes. In that case, we used some Japanese anise and some camellias for some shrub material. We also used some tree form material like Foster hollies and Savannah hollies. And really, it was just a combination of colors and textures and, just trying to create a usable space.
Right. Now, just when you think a project's going to be a walk in the park, something comes up and gets you, and you had that here.
It did. As we were about to start working on the deck, we realized that the sunroom didn't have a foundation that would sustain the weight of the deck in itself over time. So what we had to do was stop everything, jack up the sunroom, put in a new foundation, and then start work again.
All right. Now, how did your friendship with Greg affect your approach to all this?
Well, I knew it was something I'm going to be hearing about for a long time, so I wanted to make sure it was done right, but also it gave us an opportunity to talk more and be together and have a lot of fun.
Well, it's nice to have a family you're close to have a chance to experience your work.
That's right, it is, and like I said, I know I'm going to hear about it.
Well, I got a feeling they're happy with it. I'm going to talk with Greg and Mary Grace now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, hello. Good to see you, Mary Grace.
Good to see you.
Hey, Greg. Well, you knew you were going to do something to this yard after you bought the house. How does this stack up with what you had in mind?
Oh, it exceeds any of our expectations, I think. We did a lot more with it than we planned on.
Right. How has all of this affected the way you and the children enjoy the yard?
Well, we're out here a lot more. I mean, it's a lot more functional, particularly in the back with a nice level playing area, and here in the front as well.
You sit up on the porch and watch them play. It just works better.
And you're here with them all the time, so that makes a big difference. Now, you wanted a yard for the whole family, and now the family's growing, huh?
Yeah, that's right. We've got a new addition coming here in a couple of months, and so hopefully this new one, boy or girl, we don't know, will enjoy the yard as well.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, now, one of your big priorities in this project was that two-story garage. How's that working out?
It's worked out well. We've enjoyed that. I think Mary Grace has probably gotten as much or more use out of it as I have.
Really?
Yes, I've got the studio up there, so I've had a little art class.
All right, good. Now, what's your favorite part of all this, Mary Grace?
Just that everybody can be happy. We had a birthday party recently, and the adults were on the patio, the kids were playing basketball, and the little ones were in the grass or on the playground. And everybody can be happy and have something to do.
Right. How about you, Greg?
I think the grill. We added a nice outdoor grill that we've gotten a lot of use out of, and the fireplace as well. We've been able to use that and enjoy that.
And also, we never envisioned using this much stone, and I love the stone work.
Well, it does. It looks terrific. Now, what do the kids think about all of this?
Oh, they enjoy it.
Yeah, they've enjoyed it. My oldest son has really enjoyed having the basketball goal and the level playing area in the back. They use that a lot, so they've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, what do you think when you drive up? I mean, obviously, it's like a new house to you.
It is. It's nice to look at. It's a lot more pleasing to look at as you drive in, particularly because we lost the extra front door. We've got a main entrance now, which was something that we wanted when we started this project.
And we don't miss. I thought we would miss the other door because it was what we used all the time, but we don't miss it at all.
Yeah, and I'm sure your guests don't miss it either because now they know which door to come into,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Great, that's wonderful. We're going to take one last look at this project, before and after. Mary Grace, thank you very much. Thank you, Greg, for making us a part of this. And thank you for joining us again on Groundbreakers. Join us again next time for another terrific landscape transformation. Goodbye.